Richard,
Hey, how's it going?
what's going on with you, man?
Just watching a YouTube video from the Game Grumps. They're playing Cat in the Hat with Dan Harmon. Uh, you may have not heard of any of that any of that stuff, but it's a pretty. I've actually watched this video before. It's from like 6 years ago. It's pretty entertaining. They play what's not a great platforming game, Cat in the Hat, but they really talk about a lot of stuff during the episode that to me feels like quite. I don't know. The kind of content that I like the most is when something like kind of silly is going on, but people are just using that as a platform to like get really insightful about like the structures of society and how they are kind of broken. And so I don't know. This video kind of really appeals to me as it checks those boxes.
Yeah, I don't need a video to tell me that society's broken.
Yeah, but they, in a comedic fashion. What I love is when like smart comedy people like just say basically what's wrong, but in a entertaining fashion.
Yep, good old comedy.
Yeah, what's going on with you?
Back in Ottawa.
Yeah, I never know where you are actually. I didn't know. Yeah.
The days are getting shorter.
Right.
I gotta tell you, man, like, I don't know how it is in the States, but cinema has cheap Tuesday nights. And if you go during the day, no one is there. So you can watch whatever movie you want, theater all to yourself.
Right. I think I've done that a couple times. When I was in Edmonton, there was a theater that was maybe like a 1 hour walk from my house. And so that was some pretty fun days where I would walk like for an hour, get to the theater, just grab something to eat, like eat while watching the movie in this like air conditioned theater with nobody around, and then walk back and like an hour walk back thinking about the movie. And that was a super fun experience. But these days, I don't know. Yeah, without like going to a packed theater on a night is a terrible experience. Yeah, it only works if like there's nobody there and you get some space to yourself.
And someone's like kicking the chair. Yeah, I saw the Creator.
Oh yeah, I've been hearing about that. I think, well, the stuff I saw was that it's got really good like cinematography, and I don't know why they're advertising that aspect of it so much. I haven't heard anything like if the story's good or not, but I assume it is. I don't know. All I know is there's a kid who's an AI and something ensues.
Yeah, I don't want to ruin it for you if you're going to see it.
I don't think I'll see it in theater. That's the problem with theaters is like a movie comes out and I just put it on a list and then I wait like 3 months and then hope that I can rent it for like $5 on the internet. And then I miss, I don't get to see like movies when they come out.
That's only like $2.50 more. It only costs $7.50 for the ticket.
Yeah, I just don't know. I can never find like the energy to go to I like the idea of like going to a theater and taking that chunk of time out of the day. Like it's a different experience, but unless the movie is like guaranteed super good, then I just end up like not enjoying the fact that there's so many like ads before it. But actually, that being said, there's a theater. There's a thing called the Alamo Draft House. It's a chain of theaters, and they serve like food in the theater, and they don't have like ads before the show. And they're I don't really know like where their business model came from, but it's like a really good experience. Like they have like a nice like themed like pre-show for a lot of the movies, and there's like a lot of space around the seats, and the fact that they don't have any like pre-show ads is like a huge bonus. So actually, I should go back to that theater. Maybe I could see this.
What's it called again?
Well, the chain is called the Alamo Draft House. And the one that I go to it's in like an old theater building, and they've like only subtly like renovated it, so it's got like modern seats and a screen, but like all like the wood and the carpet and stuff from like back in the day is like present in this like old timey theater, and they've just kind of installed a theater in it, and then everyone gets a menu, they'll serve the food during the show. And then what's cool is I saw like the last movie I saw there was like a lengthy like, just during the 30 minutes in which they would show ads normally, they had this whole custom like pre-show that I guess the theater company, like the Alamo Drafthouse, had like worked with some of the actors like in the film to like put together like various like music and skits and like things that just seemed like so like extra content basically. And so I was pretty impressed with their whole thing. But what I loved was just removing the ads, because I would always pay like a couple dollars extra to get rid of ads, but theaters don't even offer that option. You just have to, you just sit there, and it's always like car ads and stuff too, which are like really, and then like theaters are always like it's like a giant parking lot in the middle of nowhere is like the theater. But the Alamo Drafthouse is just like you can get off this like subway basically and walk to it in the middle of the city, which is kind of cool.
Nice, man. I might have to check it out.
Otherwise, last night I was playing a video game, also kind of an old video game, maybe like 10 or 15 years old. It's like Splinter Cell, but it's the final installment. I don't know if you know the Splinter Cell series or whatever, but this one's like the final installment in that series. It's called Splinter Cell Blacklist. And this game really stands out to me as like they really got like for my preferences, they got like movement completely right, because like it's a 3D game, and like you're in this like bombed out like war zone with like buildings and barricades and like cars and everything. But as you move through the environment, you can quickly tap like a button, and your player will like take cover behind like, half crouching cover behind like a car or a barricade or a cement thing. And then you could vault over cover, or you can like target and then tap another button, and he'll do like a slide or a roll to like the next closest piece of cover. And so you can like, if you see an enemy in the distance, you can like run until they just about see you, and then do like a power slide behind like a barricade, and then when they're not looking, you can like dart between like cover closer and closer to them. And then something that I like doing is like throwing like a smoke grenade, and then they can't see you, and you can flip on these like sonar goggles where like, when it comes down to it, if there's like a crowd of like 3 guys, you can like smoke grenade them right when you get close, and then put on your sonar goggles and like knock them all out. And they can't like, they know you're there, but they can't like see you because of the smoke. And it's just this really like fluid, like action-packed sort of cover to cover. And then if people are like shooting at you or whatever, it's very fun to like be behind the cover, and you have like, you have like all the common like flash grenades and everything, and you can kind of like escape like a hot situation by taking cover smartly and vaulting and climbing walls. And it's just like very engaging, like environmental. It just really feels a lot of the time like you're using the environment. You're getting a lot of use out of the environment when you're like trying to fight this asymmetrical battle where it's like you against like waves of people. So I ended up playing that game.
Splinter Cell, you said, yeah? I don't know if I played that one when I was younger.
There's maybe like 5 versions of it. Like there was the original one, and they kept adding like more. But when they got to this final one, they really had a lot of like movement systems and everything, and gadgets and stuff like working well together. And another fun part is like whenever you play one of these levels, you get like some money like in the game, and then you use that money to like buy like equipment upgrades. And so it's pretty fun to like originally you don't have any sonar and your aim isn't that good, but you can like buy better and better like gloves and weapons and stuff, and eventually you have like sleeping gas grenades and like sonar and like laser aimed like laser aimers on your guns, and then you can like really efficiently just like sweep through a level and take out so many people. But I find it very like, it's very pleasing, because
that's what you do in your spare time, eh? Just kill a bunch of shit.
it is weirdly like it's so like it really hits like the spot of like I want to feel like I'm making decisions. I'm like in the moment. Things are like like guys are being alerted to my presence. I'm silencing them, sliding over here, and like I always in my mind I always have like this like I need to get behind cover, throw this grenade, reload, get out, hit this guy, like dart across here, and like there'll be these moments where like you narrowly escape like more guys coming in, or they'll try to like sort of surround you a bit, and you can pick like, okay, there's only one guy there, like I'm going down this hallway, I got to take him out like as I jump through this window or something. And it's very like uh just the way the controls map to like what the character's doing in the game. It feels so like you have this idea of what you want to do, and you just can kind of the controls really let you express that, and then you get these really cool animations like as your character like does it. And uh it's just very like the timing and everything is very well done. It's kind of it's like violent though, which is a weird thing because not every like I guess my preference for games is like no violence and like a lot of peacefulness or something, or like some kind of building game. But every once in a while, it's just fun to like engage in combat, basically.
Yeah, I do the Elden Ring and Soulsborne games.
Yeah, Elden Ring I got into.
You got PlayStation?
I just did it on PC.
Oh, you one of those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be when I was growing up. I always did consoles because I liked that you could guarantee like the game would run as it's intended to on on like a certain version of a console. And I always felt like you put a game in a PC and you never know what's going to happen, if there's going to be crashes or something. And but I don't know. I guess I bought like a gaming PC maybe 2 years ago now, and so for a certain amount of time I can sort of play games. But that being said, I wanted to switch to Linux, and then Linux has some good, like you can run Windows games on Linux, but like Steam kind of broke a while ago, and so now I have to like reboot my PC into Windows when I want to play a video game. So it's kind of annoying. Like it would be nice to just sit down, press the power button, and then play a game. But also I don't have a TV. I just have I watch TV shows on my computer screen, and consoles are sometimes bad at like connecting to a PC monitor.
Yeah. What about your wife? She watch anything?
She is playing a lot of like there's this game called League of Legends, and she plays like the Chinese version.
Oh, that game. Yeah.
Yeah, that's her favorite game right now. But we play some games together. Like there's a game called like Overcooked, where it's like two people like rushing around a kitchen to like put together like dishes. And there's like orders come in and you fulfill them. There's this game called Unrailed where you have to like chop trees and mine like metal to build like a train track in real time, because the train is constantly moving, and so you have to like clear the way and place the new tracks so that it doesn't like become like unrailed. And that game is pretty simple and pretty good.
Yeah, 'tis the season for TV shows and video games.
Yeah,
that's
TV
why I want to
shows,
go south. I want to go south so I can,
watch better TV.
No, so I don't have to be cooped up watching TV, and
oh yeah,
I don't like that. Like,
I
want to be active.
Anything right now?
Just finished Ahsoka. I'm all about the Star Wars.
Oh yeah. I haven't heard like anything about that Ahsoka show, except for one podcast I listened to. They talk about it, and they're sort of confused about they just felt like there wasn't a lot of character development, I guess, but they said there was some cool moments.
Yeah, I got my complaints about it, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, because I think actually right now, I think the writers are still on strike. And so like these shows definitely didn't have like writers on set, I guess, like punching it up like as it was being filmed. So maybe there's a little bit of a lack of like character development and like dialogue.
Oh, there definitely is. There's definitely a lack.
It's kind of nice to see that. It's nice to see that like when you remove like a discipline from an industry, then you can tell, like that's what one would hope, is that like writing is a real thing that like really makes stuff better, and if it's not present, then it's nice that things get worse in that situation.
Yeah, I know what you mean. What else? Yeah, I'm considering watching Picard. I love that guy. I grew up on
Yeah,
Star Trek Next Generation, or rather,
right.
evolved as an officer, and I learned all my traits, all my skills and abilities from that show. So it teaches you leadership, and also, like one part I got from I forget the episode, but it's like, a good leader is also a good follower. And then it had like the whole show that revolved around that moral or that lesson. And there's just so many. And yeah, there's a special
Right.
place in my heart for the Next Generation. Like I want to watch it again. There's so many good ones though to catch up on too.
Yeah, I've never sat down and watched like Star Trek. I must have seen some of the more modern movies, but Picard. My parents watched like Star Trek when I was a kid, and so I would see like various like scenes from the show. But I never. I think I was like too young at the time, and then Picard. I guess he played like Dr. Xavier in X-Men. So that's
Hmm.
where I saw that actor like reappear.
Patrick Stewart, yeah, he's
Yeah, I
great.
wonder. Yeah, I wish. I don't know. I feel like Star Trek is like one of those like properties where I don't know like everyone's got a different opinion about like what's the best season or something. So then I never know like or
Really?
is it has it I don't even know how it's aged or whatever. Like
The
I wish that
consensus is Next Generation, man. Come on.
well I don't even yeah I
I
don't
hear
have
you, bro.
any like I don't even know what the options are. Like I've heard a lot of people say Next Generation. That's maybe one of the only like subtitles that I know for like a Star Trek. So what was it like? Captain Kirk was, you know, and then is that what launched Next Generation when they switched captains?
Yeah, so that one's in the future. So the first one, the star date is later, from what I understand, because in one of the other Star Treks, I don't know if it was Enterprise or if it was Next Generation, they come across one of the starship models that look like the first series. Like it looks like that the old one, but apparently it's like ultra powerful. Like just it will completely change the current galactic alliance,
Hmm.
or just what am I looking for here? The word, just like the whole structure. Who's
Like
allied with who,
Federation
and like
or
the
no?
entire way that time period would have been disrupted by this piece of technology because it was so advanced that that one starship could have wiped out an
Wow,
entire. Yeah.
that's a
So
cool idea.
yeah, but so it was from the future and somehow trapped in these rocks, and that's what gave me. Well, that's not the idea, but that's what told the watcher that the first generation, or rather the first Star Trek, was later. That their gear was more advanced, which is funny considering the tech that they had to work with at the time, which is pretty old school. And then when you look at Next Generation, the starships like talking to it just looks more modern in the Next Generation.
Right.
I like how the rooms are like minimalist too. Like you go in there and they might have like a little flower or a couple ornaments, but it's very much just the bare minimum. I like that. That's
Yeah, it
not
seems
why I'm a
like the
minimalist, but
yeah
hey.
your whole house is like one flower in a room. Yeah, like
Well, and
the show definitely seemed like a dialogue heavy show. Like whenever I remember seeing it, it was like, like two characters talking in like a hallway of the ship about some kind of like situation. And so yeah,
yeah,
that's what I took away was like it it seemed like a very like intellectual heavy show. Like because it wasn't even like, it was not like a comedy or something. It was like I guess it was like a drama. Like how many shows even are keeping that format, I wonder. Like, it seems kind of unique in that sense. Like, a drama about problem solving, like in space, is a fairly
Right.
like,
Yeah, there's
yeah,
always
and
problem solving.
yeah. I wish actually that's what I would like to see more shows. Like, I like the genre of like drama. I like drama movies, and when they're done well, it's like so gripping because you really feel like the tension and everything like that, and that's what I would sort of hope. Uh, like sometimes like older media is like a bit too slow. Like they sort of play out things too slowly or something, and it's harder for modern audiences to like feel like engaged or something. And that's sort of just one problem with uh like if I tried to go back and watch it, having not watched it, like having no nostalgia for it, I don't know if I could uh like if it would be fast paced enough or something. But sometimes, but I definitely, there's like modern media like the new Blade Runner and stuff was like very like lengthy and slow, and I really like that. So when shows like lean into like the slow pace of things, that's pretty like appealing. Do they ever go like what's the flow of like a new next generation episode? Like they're on the ship, they engage in some problem, do they like beam down or something?
Sometimes.
Yeah, I don't think I ever saw them like beam. I never saw a scene where they beam down, but uh I don't know how the sets would have looked on planets. I just know like the one set of like flat metal hallway and two people like in the suits like talking. I know some of the characters like there's like a guy that has a bunch of wrinkles and a lady who's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
who's
Worf.
like a robot.
Worf is like people's all-time
Yeah.
favorite. People love Worf. I like him too.
And number 7 or something. Some robot lady.
Oh, 7 of 9. That's a different one.
Yeah, 7 of 9, yeah.
Yeah,
Is she
she's
in
a
Next
hottie.
Generation?
No, I mean, as far as
Like
I'm
she's from the
tracking, no.
original?
I don't know if she ever popped up for whatever. No,
Huh.
she's in it's tip my tongue. Captain Janeway. I forget the one.
Huh.
Voyager, I think. I think it's Star Trek Voyager. I think. Yeah.
I should watch like a recap video on YouTube, like a 1 hour long, like every episode explained, like the whole plot.
I think it would be
That's
a
what I
good
like.
weekend. Or if you're not really working that hard during the week, then during the week
Like
just
binge it
watch it
all.
up. Yeah, yeah. Now that I've said it, now I kind of want to do it tomorrow, but tomorrow I have stuff to do, so I can't do that.
Yeah, it's kind of fun, like having like these long running shows, just having them on in the background is a fun thing. That's what it's gonna be like if we all have like AR glasses. We can just always have like an old TV show playing in our field of vision at all times. For better
Yeah,
or worse.
what I like about the Creator movie, there was a lot of room for improvement. I mean, it was painful at certain points, just the way it developed, the way it progressed. There wasn't. It was just
It
really
seems
fast
they
paced.
they like they make or sorry, what was it? Too fast paced?
It was very very fast paced. Like for me, I'm
Oh yeah.
really interested in how the AI came to be. Like, I want to know more. And
Okay.
it was just like the intro was just boom action, and then a little bit of backdrop, a little bit of story, and then just boom 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 boom, like it's just progressing, and it's a little bit ridiculous at points, but just the whole idea of AI working with and living with humans, and us giving them face. So that was a neat thing, that where you can share your likeness, where they scan your face and they give AI,
Yeah.
like the body, the humanoid droids, your face, and then then it's more personable for when they interact.
Like your
And I
exact
just
face?
yeah,
Why do you want it to have your same face?
just
Huh.
that was sort of like the charitable donation that you can offer them.
Oh.
Doesn't have to be like you don't own a droid, if I understand. Like so, like the police are droids, and they're going to be robotic. Like there's actually a humanoid. There was a human looking AI in the police force, but yeah, most of the droids were robotic looking. But it's not going to be like your droid that hangs out with you, kind of like your doppelganger or anything like that. It's just you offer it up and then it's like in the public. So now I think it's cool. There are certain parts that I really found fascinating that I just wish there was more. It would have been really cool as a TV series. As a TV series, it would have been epic.
Yeah, so many people say that about stuff these days, that like if they had done a TV series, we'd have so much more time to explore all the little like nooks and crannies. And that does seem to be like one advantage of TV, but there is this problem with TV shows where like they, instead of like going into all these details every episode, they just have these really long like nothing happening episodes that like end on a cliffhanger and then don't resolve in the next episode. And that's always it's annoying. Yeah, it is weird like when like movies being like an hour and a half, that's such a small amount of time to like build a world, and all they can do is like deliver to the average person and give something that everyone will enjoy. Like they can't do any niche or any sort of like overly thinking stuff or something, and it's too bad that like they could just spin off like an entire drama. Like that's what I would want to see, is like a drama about a collection of people like inventing AI, and just have like nothing happen except for like footage of like people working on this technology and like having like false starts and then getting it right eventually and realizing like what the potential is.
What an interesting time we live in.
Soon we might be able to make that stuff, like if we develop AI and we can just ask it for like little short film clips and generate photos and characters and dialogue and voices, then in short order we may be able to like piece together, like it's such a fun thing to think about. Like if we watch, like if we watch the creator and we want to do like a small spin-off, if we can tell like explain to ChatGPT what we want, it writes a script, there's two characters, like we get like some kind of video AI to like generate like video clips of characters talking, we voice them with AI, and then all of a sudden we have like a collection of scenes that like tell a story, and we can create like our fan fiction as like a close approximation of like a cheap like sort of version of a Pixar film or something. And then like if it's good enough, just pay someone to like make it look better and then you have like whatever, like, but they're like everyone would be like doing that, and there'll be like tons of like any spin-off you want or anything will just be on YouTube, like made by some random person, and you can watch all these like fan fiction like episode. It'll be so much content. It's weird to think that like there'd be like this content explosion, and would we ever watch something like produced by a big studio again, or would we just get lost in like all the weird spin-off things?
Yeah, we have come so far in the last 50 years. I mean, 100 years. We've progressed pretty far. But like when you think of computers, we have come so far in the last 50 years. It's mind-blowing. So I'm reading the book right now, Inside Steve's Mind. Steve Jobs from Apple. Fuck, I wish I was... wish I could go back in time and like pay attention to what was going on with Apple back then, because it was so fascinating, both Apple and Microsoft. But I
don't
was
know
just
if there
a
would have
kid.
been. I feel like like who knows if any of that information would be available at the time.
No,
Like,
but just like watching like the
like their
following
product.
Apple, yeah, and like listening to Steve speak and seeing like the new tech coming out. Like we were going into RMC when the first iPhone came out, and I got in first year. I had a brick phone, piece of shit, and then I think it was end of first year or second year that I got a Bell touch phone, which was just I think it was Samsung. It was garbage.
Right. Yeah, I remember seeing people with like really garbage touchscreen phones.
Yeah, dropped it once. It was broken. And I saw people with the iPhone, and I was like, oh, fuck the iPhone. I got the Bell. But I didn't realize that was the beginning of that technology. Like, it was just coming out.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea. I just thought that it was always around, and now that I'm in university, it's accessible. People are throwing credit cards at me. It's just the next tier in life. But I did not realize like that was history being made for that company. First time iPhone coming out. But anyway, as I'm reading like the story of Apple, I'm just super fascinated with their mantra, their mentality, and like I love the iPhone. I've always been an Apple user that way, but I've always shied away from iMacs, their MacBooks or whatever. Like I've never owned one. I never tried to own one, and I see what used to be, in my mind, new iMacs online for sale for like $200. I'm like, what is going on? And I was just in Costco today, and I've seen what they have now, like
Right.
half an inch thick.
Yeah, it's great. It's an amazing product. Like the iMac, like the entire computer is in what you'd think is a very thin monitor. Like beautiful screen, and like if you buy their keyboard and their mouse, you literally have like a monitor on your desk with like a wireless keyboard and a wireless mouse, and you have nothing else, and like it just feels like the computer is invisible, and like the screen is so nice, and like how it looks from the front.
Yeah, and for like what I'll be using it for, like personal use, recording and video editing and pictures and all the other stuff. Like, I'm gonna start exploring my artsy side a bit more. All these are like small. Part of the thing that's been holding me up with the piano recording is just I have a shit computer, man. I have my laptop's from 2008.
Yeah.
It's that touch tablet thing. It's just garbage. It runs so slow, like your teeth grind. So
Yeah, you should see even the MacBook Air laptop that's like weighs like nothing, super thin, like 13-inch Mac laptop. It's like $1,000. Like that thing is so fast. You can do like whatever you want on it, and it's got like a strong battery, and it's just like you could have it in a backpack and not even really realize it. And it's just an amazing product. Like the way it feels, the way it has weight to it, and that's their thin laptop. And so then like the iMac, being a stand-up computer that gets better like air circulation, it's also super powerful, especially if there's like they call it like the M1 or the M2 chip. If those ones are in it, then those chips are like super impressive. Like just the polish of their OS and everything they're at like a pretty.
it's gonna be transparent soon, right? It's gonna be like, so if you ever watch The Expanse, their phones are pretty much like transparent slabs that look like phones, and they're like holograms that kind of pop off of it, and then they can just like take their finger and slide the thing off their phone onto like the closest monitor. Like and this is the thing, this is what's fascinating, is that sci-fi inspires science and science inspires sci-fi. It's like this unending cycle, and we keep building off of it because we have like this creator artistic side, and that's what Mac does actually, or what Apple does, not Mac. They combine technology with art. I know I'm not a Steve guru, but, and I can't quote him exactly, but from what I was reading, it's like he saw technology as art, and he always wanted it to be perfect and presented perfectly, to the point where he had the entire motherboard redesigned, tried to anyway, to look nice, because before it was all sort of haphazard and random. And then the engineers are like, no, don't fucking do that. It's not going to work. And they were right. But, he tried. And I imagine if you took apart an iMac now, it's probably all laid out elegantly. Because it's like the back of a cabinet, right? A good artist is going to put detail even into the back of a cabinet that no one sees. Because it's a piece of art. And I really like that.
Yeah, any of the ugly parts are like all super glued together and like hidden away where you'd never see them. And anything you see about the product or can like, anything you can see or feel about the product is like super polished and amazing. And it just feels like magic, a lot of this stuff, because like the way
but even the
thinness
ugly
of
parts,
it feels good.
Yeah. Even the inside apparently is a work of art too. But nowadays, apparently, like Intel, all the components, they're all the same pretty much in all computers. Like there's sort of like a standard now. It's like this interchangeability, interoperability. It's like they all kind of cross-pollinated to a point. The only main difference is that Apple has their own operating system. And
they are starting to do, like, Apple is now coming out with this like M1 chip and M2, and those chips are made like by Apple as far as I know, and they are replacing like the Intel. So that was a big change, was like Apple switching to what's called like its own silicon. Like the circuits on chips are silicon, and Apple like designs and makes these custom chips that work, kind of like the full stack. And I think that's totally separate from Intel. I think there's no Intel chip in these modern Macs. I don't know what the iMacs use. I know the laptops are definitely on like Apple Silicon. But yeah, those chips I think originated kind of in the phones and then made their way to the laptops.
Yeah, when you have a several trillion-dollar market cap, you can start specializing in everything in order to grow even further.
Yeah, it's nice though when like one company has control of the full stack, like all the way down to like the chips, all the way up to like the physical body of the machine, like designed by one company. Like everything can be done to work well together, and it shows like, other companies have some major component that's like done by some other business, and it's hard to get things to work together. But it's so nice how like Apple laptops everything just fits together like in the way that you'd expect it to.
Do you own an Apple computer? You said you have a gaming PC, but
yeah, I've owned like a couple like iMacs in the past, and then I've owned like a MacBook Air, a MacBook Pro. Right now I have like a MacBook Air again. So I have like for my work I use like the MacBook Pro, like one of the modern ones, as a laptop, as like a 15-inch laptop. And then I have like a 13-inch like MacBook Air for my personal use. And then right now, like my main computer, my PC is just like I run like Linux on it, and it's like from Alienware. Like that's the desktop. It's like a tower that sits on the floor. But since I've realized that like the things that Linux can't do is like Linux has a hard time connecting to a Bluetooth device, and it like Steam will break, and then suddenly you can't play any video games on Linux. And so I think when I retire this like gaming PC, I'm gonna buy an iMac again, basically, because I think like a modern iMac can probably handle like all the games I like to play, which are, from like at least 5 years ago or something like that, and only a few modern ones. And the fact that like there's now like if a game is built for Windows, you can emulate it like on Linux and Mac. And so basically I think I would enjoy switching back to an iMac because of the simplicity, and it works. Like I have Apple earphones, I have the iPhone, I have the Apple Watch. So I'm basically just like, I'm fine with going all in on Apple and buying all their stuff. And I know that at some point in the future, their company is going to like turn evil, like as all companies do. And if they haven't already, but like at least it hasn't started to like show in their products yet. Everything still works great. At some point they'll like implode, Samsung. But yeah. I expect like at some point Apple will make some terrible mistake and everything will start to work poorly and they'll show ads or something like that. But until that day, I'll basically be happy owning all Apple products and like being able to do stuff easily.
Yeah, it all depends on who the leadership is. I don't know who the current leadership is.
I think there's a problem where like once you get so much like shareholder money, then the whole company is just like shareholders demanding like the biggest return on their investment possible. And so then like every company decision is just made based on how do we like get the most money from the user. And then it just kind of implodes. Like the products get worse because they want you to pay like more money for them, and they keep like trying to like break things to get like extract more money and shorten the life of devices and everything. And
yeah, but that goes against what the Apple brand, right?
Yeah, that's what I think. Like like definitely if like the pure Apple like design philosophy, they could sort of like charge me whatever they want, and I'll pay for them to like deliver the product vision that they have, and I don't even care. But like what I'm scared of is if they take the other route and they think that like there's more money in it if they can squeeze more money out of me, but then like I'll just move somewhere else. But I'm sort of in a position where like if they just deliver what they properly should as they've done in the past, then like they can just have all my money, because like what I spend money on is computers, so I don't need money for anything else, and so they can just have it all if they just continue to deliver like working computers.
Yeah, and it's like how far they progress each year. We want the newest and the greatest, and we're going to end up having to pay for it over and over and over again, right? But the thing is like these, I'd like to think that the Apple products hold their value for at least a little bit. So like the 14s are still, being sold for over $1,000. Well, at least the pros are. So if you have a pro and you want to upgrade each time, your upgrade cost is what is it? Really, it's $500 in tax, and depending on how much you get for it, you might even be able to make it less if you're going to go for pro, unlocked, no plan. So $500 for an upgrade every year, every 2 years is not that bad.
Yeah.
No, it says the guy who pays less than $100 for his phone, but yeah. Sorry?
Yeah, I think about once every 4 years, I'll pay like $1,000 to Apple for like whatever device needs replacing. And I kind of enjoy that. Like I like, when I get to trade in one of my Apple products and get like the new one and know that it's going to be like, there's going to be another 4 years of like using a good product. And it just like, I really like this idea. Like, I feel like I want to pay more. I want to support whatever they want to design. Like, like if they continue to design things well, then I like thinking that like the money I pay them for their products like is allowing them to continue to like spend a lot of time designing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have like Apple Vision. It's not really out yet. It's in like, it's still being like demoed, and what the first version that comes out is going to be like $3,000 or something. But those are like you strap the goggles to your face and then it shows you video of what you otherwise would be seeing, but it can like add in graphics. And some reviews of people did like some reviews like semi hands-on, and the gestures are very like sharp and responsive, and the visuals are nice. So I'm excited for like that, like the Apple Vision product, this AR glasses, to like once we get like to like the generation 5 of those or whatever, I think we might have something. We might have like a fairly lightweight headset that can project like graphics into reality, that has like a good battery life and is like, it like you use your eyes to like look at different things and it responds to that, and you just do like a little pinch gesture to click on stuff.
Yeah, I think Zuck is working on something with Ray-Bans as well, like some sort of glasses, high-tech Ray-Ban
Yeah,
glasses.
that's what's so interesting is like Microsoft has an AR headset, Facebook's making them, but I feel like this is an interesting moment where I'm sort of, my view is still like, until Apple does it, no one is going to do it right. And once Apple does it, everyone will copy Apple and do it the way they did it, because that's
That's
what
what
I
they yep.
like. Maybe I'm like, I almost hope that I'm wrong, because it shouldn't be that way. But like, it seems like, like Apple is going to do it right. And then it's like Apple Vision headset is going to be like this dominant product that replaces everything. And then they'll get like 90% of the market share. And then every other company will copy them and take the last like 10% market share. But it's like Apple was not even leading this development, right? Like every other company pretty much has made like an AR headset and done it wrong somehow. And now finally Apple's coming out with theirs, and people are like, oh, finally we get like the good one, basically. Like, it's pretty funny how, like only Apple can like define a new product category by just making it look and work nice. And then every other company can like copy them kind of after the fact.
Um, so Apple's market cap is beating Microsoft. And that was the thing, is like before, Apple was focused on quality and didn't have as much of the market, where Microsoft had a lot of the market, especially with businesses and stuff. Looks like Apple has surpassed them.
I remember like there was a turning point where like there was all these like ads, like, switch to Mac. Like there was like ads specifically saying like switch to Mac, it's easy. Like there were these like conversion, like they'd help you convert in the store. And yeah, because it was like nobody knew the Mac OS and everybody was on Windows. But then yeah, there was like people, I think it was sort of one of those things where like Apple had these beautiful stores, and especially with the iPhone, people wanted the laptops that had similar like aesthetics. And like it seems to be the case that like anyone who switches to Mac like never switches back. But then anyone on Microsoft Windows, as soon as they like, it's just a matter of time. They switch to Mac, they realize it's better, and then they don't go back. But there's a lot of companies where like you're forced, like that's the problem, is like everybody who works any job is forced to use Windows, and so that's the OS that they know because they're forced to use it. And that's my opinion, is the only way that anyone would ever use Windows is if they're kind of forced to, or they're tricked into it, or there's no other option. But like anybody who has like a choice ends up picking going to Mac eventually, basically.
Nice. Yeah, I can see that.
You get a lot of free stuff.
Before I was born, a share in Apple was going for 15 cents USD. It was 10 cents at 1985. 10 cents.
It's weird, eh? Like how are we not like automatically buying those? Like when you purchase like a coffee, and like when you purchase a coffee, you should automatically get a share of a company, like if they're 10 cents, like, and then you shouldn't even know. And then they should just tell you have that share when it's worth like today's prices or something.
Oh my God, I couldn't imagine. If I knew about the stock market back in 2000, I wish someone taught me money. And Apple came out, and I could have connected the dots that Apple was, this booming high-tech,
well, I guess the problem
quality.
is like that stuff must be happening today. Like there must be some company today that we're totally overlooking that's going to do the exact same thing.
Yeah, I'm
so
joining some reports.
That's the tough part. Yeah,
I'm joining some reports that will show me.
I don't know if anyone can predict that kind of stuff. It seems very like, in retrospect, it seems so obvious that that's what we needed, but it's tricky like that. Like there's very like simple products that become like everyone has them in their house all of a sudden, but it's so hard to see it coming in advance.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you are paying attention to the stock market, if you are putting time into it, I'm looking at a couple companies that provide reports, and they do analytics, and they offer like the new stock, the penny stocks, the ones that have a chance to 10x or 100x, right? Like, if I buy Apple now, that's because I just want to put my money somewhere. Because if I look at all time, it went up 178,290%. Okay, that's all time. I'm actually really liking Google's breakdown. It's nice. If I look at 1 year, especially even like during the turbulence that we've had recently, past year's gone up 28%. I mean, this is beating up the S&P 500. 5 year, it's 221%, but 1 year, 28.39%. Even despite the shit show that just happened, and their fucking phone was apparently overheated that came out. Like, come on, that's amazing growth for a year. Why would I put my money anywhere else? Like, I'm sitting on money right now. And everybody's like, "Oh, don't go all in. Diversify." And then I have Robert Kawasaki saying, "Focus. Don't diversify." That's the middle class knowledge. Diversify. Yeah, okay. Have some bonds and stocks and whatever else. A balanced portfolio if you want to play it safe, and you go global in order to spread it out. And statistics show that over a long period of time, the average, when it's spread out, wins. But if you're looking to actually make money and you have the time and energy to do research, focus in on 3 or 4 companies.
Yeah,
I mean,
I've had not good results. So like I think there is truth to like going in on one company does seem like as companies, like let's say Apple comes out with their new like Vision Pro headset and it just completely flops, then they might lose 30% of their stock price, and it might take like a decade or so for them to like come out with another product and like sort of regain like shareholder interest. And so I guess there's this problem where it's like if you go all in, it could lose like 30% right away. And then like the thing is that like Apple probably is considered inside the S&P 500. So like the S&P 500 being like a safe bet, like it probably definitely is. And that like the S&P 500, like if like some company will succeed. So it's nice to be able to bet that like some company in America will succeed, and knowing that like many will fail. But then that's what's so tough is like deciding on is Apple gonna have growth really comes down to like trying to predict if people will like the next like Apple product.
they will.
And because that's the tough part though, is like it's such a specific thing where it's like nobody, like there's a lot of uncertainty around it. I think in the long term it's good, but then if we're talking about long term, then it's like maybe they just in the long term they might just compete with the S&P.
Yeah, I think if you want to be safe and in a way diversify, S&P 500. I'll tell
What
you
do you
right
think
now.
about do you think like maybe 80 or 90% S&P 500 and then the other 10% do like a single company, like a high risk, more high risk thing?
Yeah, I don't know what my spread's going to be, but like I have what's called an ETF. I did mutual funds. I lost money on that. Plus, their fucking rates were ridiculous. The MER or something was like 2.5%.
Yeah, mutual funds don't make any sense given that you can just do like an index fund that beats them and is cheaper. It's like weird.
Yeah. Like mine was okay in the past, and then COVID happened, and it's still hasn't recovered. So I just like, you know what, fuck this 2 point whatever percent that they're taking. So I moved everything over into an ETF, and I went like maximum 10 out of 10 risk for the RRSP because in my mind, no risk, no growth. But this is long term. I don't give a shit about my RRSP because I'm not going to touch it until down the road. And if I die, whatever. I mean, the government's going to tax it to fucking hell anyway. But my tax-free savings account, I want balanced risky because I have also an ETF with that, because I don't know if that was a condition of me moving it over, but I figured the money's already there. I'll keep it there until I know what I'm doing, because honestly, I haven't built my financial base yet. I just started to lay the foundation. I really got to work hard to build a good, solid base. I don't want to build a building with no foundation. It's like, imagine building a skyscraper with no concrete foundation. It's not going to work, right? So I'm putting a lot of time into really. I'm fiddling around with the stock market and understanding the psychology piece and feeling it firsthand. And when I started to learn about money, I became very emotionally attached to it, when before I wasn't. The only reason why I started to become more aware was because I've lost all my buying power. I mean, I'm making 120,000 plus a year, a comfortable government job with all these benefits, and I'm in debt. And I'm a minimalist who's frugal to the point of being ridiculous. So I'm hurting because I have 2 variable mortgages. Everybody's saying, oh yeah, houses, properties are assets. They're your best investment. Go variable. So I'm following all of this old financial knowledge, and I'm getting raked over the coals because of what's going on. I mean, probably wrong expression there, but as a result of the economy being what it is, and inflation and the interest rates going up, I'm in the hole. Like I just did I'm working on my balance sheet, which has just been brutal because I'm having to think about all my expenses and lay it out. And I'm in the hole $100 a month when I pay for everything. Assume if I get my rental income, which is much less, it's $1,200 less than what I need, then that's my spending money for the month. And any maintenance that comes out of my place in BC is food out of my mouth. Yeah. So I'm in a tight place. And so that forced me to adapt. Before I was comfortable, didn't really pay much attention to money. But I was considering Airbnb, doing that for a while, and then I was like, too much risk, fuck it. And then I'm forced to do it. So I left my place and, spending time with my partner, and I figured, why not put my whole unit up for Airbnb? And it's a bit of work to do that. And I made a good chunk of change. I actually had some spending money over the summertime, and things slowed down. And I also put a lot into the stock market as well. Actually, pretty much all of it that I made, I put into the stock market, because even though I had spending money, I don't spend a lot, so at least I was out of debt. And then I had an unforeseen motorcycle repair expense, and then I had some other stuff, some other unforecasted expenses, and then now I'm in the whole $6,000. Just life happens, right? So no emergency fund, because I put everything into the stock market, and I figured I'm guaranteed income. I don't need to worry about an emergency fund, but now I have to play catch up. And so I'm home, and I'm having to, there's a point to all this. And so now I'm renting out my main bedroom. I have a guest who will eventually come in. He checked in yesterday and works all day. And now I'm sharing my home with somebody in order to have a bit more buying power, in order to make up the debt as well. And what I'm getting at is, this forced me to change and become more aware, because being in debt, not having enough money, makes you sensitive to money. It made me sensitive to money. And then now I started to have a bit of attachment to money, where I'm like denying myself opportunities, or eating out, or like, I can't afford this, which is not what you need to say according to Robert from Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's, how can I afford this? And how can I afford this is, well, I put my place up for rent, or I get a second day job. I mean, really, that's what I can do. And I realized I started to get like this emotional attachment to money now that I'm more mindful of it, and I'm learning more about it to the point where it almost became everything I thought about. It was the only thing I was interested in because I see it as a game. And how I work with games is I don't want to grind. And I just realized I've been grinding pretty much all my life. I've been bred into being blue collar or white collar, for me, white collar, and then trained and indoctrinated in the military to grind for money. I've been grinding all this time, and I just realized, and I fucking hate grinding. People are like, oh, you know, you got to work to feel a sense of accomplishment. But I'm making peanuts. Like, my time is priceless, and I'm working for the government. Other people are working to make other people rich. And I'm realizing, like, before that was okay because I had everything that I wanted, except, you know, there's sacrifice in the military and all the other stuff. But now I don't have everything that I want. Now I have to worry about debt. And, you know, that didn't really sit right with me.
Right.
And that's when I became aware that, oh, I'm doing the grind like I would do in a video game. And I would do the grind in video games, like Elder Scrolls Online, for instance, or Elden Ring, because I didn't know how to get that shit otherwise.
And the grind
And
pays off in video games.
the grind pays off, but there's ways to bypass the grind. So in Elden Ring, I found a way to bypass the grind. In Elder Scrolls Online, I found a way to bypass the grind. You know what it is? Make lots of friends, give them all access to your account, and let them grind your character for you. And the deal is that they run my character through and they take the gold. And they're on it all the time. Now, me, I have a lot of characters, and I have a lot more builds than a lot of people do. So they go in and they fuck around and they have a good time. Meanwhile, my account gets the experience points, and sometimes they don't even take the gold. So I'm sitting on more profit. I'm not even logging in. And so when I realized that, I'm like, holy shit, that's amazing. And I also have like certain builds that are they're not being impacted by the patches. The patches have already balanced my pieces out, so I'm not hitting as like the hardest. But my build is like very specific, so it won't break. And so I don't have to worry about grinding out new pieces of armor because I learned from other people of what was optimal. And I'm getting to a point here. The Elden Ring thing too, I found a way to duplicate items. I never need to grind for currency in any of these games again. I don't need to grind for armor. I just have my friends give them to me. And if I want a new build, they just drop it for me. And then I upgrade my character to whatever level I want. And then I go and get my spells because unfortunately that you can't drop spells. But then the game isn't about grinding for fucking armor and levels. The game is just me playing in order to get the spells that I want for that particular build, which is fun to me still. The point is that for Elder Scrolls Online, if I wanted to be meta, the best, and hit the hardest, which I don't because I don't give a shit. But what I've learned when I did care for this like really brief period is that it's impossible for you to know. For you to get the armor pieces, there's like thousands of them, and there's always more being added in. You will not know what meta is. You might stumble upon it by accident, but the chance is like super low because you got two sets in monster set, and then you got to farm it all, and then you got to upgrade it all, and then you got to hump a dummy, as the expression goes, and then you have to like perfect your rotation, and then your spells change. That's a lot of time and energy, and you might not even get it. So there are people who have access to the beta servers on PC, and they're the ones that do it. I don't know if it's a team of people, or if it's just one dude who's the face and then he has a team doing it, or if it's just one dude who does it, but it's like a job for them. That's what they do. That's their day job, it seems. And they will tell you what the meta is. And then you have also other people that have followings on Facebook that take that, and then they try different rotations and different setups to optimize it even further. And see all these people that do all this work, and you don't even need to pay for it. You can just Google and look, and then now you're like, oh, I know what meta is, and I can specifically farm meta. The trick is to find out what meta is before it comes out, because then everybody's farming for it when it comes out. So being proactive.
Right.
The point is that game is very much like the stock market. There's a whole bunch of analysts out there that will do analytics and will tell you what they think is going to perform well. And one of them is the Motley Fool or something. And they predicted that Spotify was going to be huge. And it did. It went up like 1900%. And then they said that, they have a new stock that's going to be like an all-in stock. And there's only ever been 9 in the history of the company. And so like they do it, they have a team of people at the company, and they provide you with meta. And it's not really meta, but they'll tell you what stocks you should look at. So you were saying beforehand, wouldn't it be nice to like know what to invest in before they get big? Well, these people do it for you. And before, I would see these companies and I'd be like, fuck them and their email spams. But now I see the value because I've connected the dots. And at the same time, now that I realize that this is a game that can be played and won if you know the rules, and I still need to learn all the rules, there's so many, that I've kind of detached that emotional connection that I have the money again. So I appreciate its value. I know that it is value, but it isn't everything to me anymore. I also now know where to put my energy in order to make it. And I realize too, it's not that hard to make money this day and age in the information world. It's not that hard.
Yeah, sometimes it seems like money kind of is free sometimes somehow, just because there actually is like so much money being passed around, but like a lot of times it gets like sucked up by like people who are kind of greedy. But like whenever there's like a moment where one person isn't like sucking all the money up, there's like enough to just go around and everyone has what they need or something.
Well,
I think
every
we should
time
oh yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say every time there's like what's happening with the interest rates going up, eventually people are already defaulting on their mortgages and there's power of sales happening and foreclosures, and whenever this happens and these cycles happen in the market, there's a wealth transfer from poor middle class to the wealthy, because the wealthy investors, millions of dollars in their pocket, will come around and buy up all these houses
Right.
that have dropped in price because of the ebb and flow of the economy. So, and the system is made this way. It's like we're caged almost and forced along this path, because when interest rates go up and when our mortgages go up and our pay may not go up and we don't make enough, let's say, even if we have like no debt, we don't have the cash on hand, most middle class people, to be able to go up and buy properties. And you can try, but the banks will likely turn you down because it goes over 40% or something. And then if that's all the knowledge that you have, you're dead in the water. You can't benefit from real estate with the ebb and flow. Apparently, there's ways to use other people's money outside the banks, but that's something that you have to learn with a course or a webinar or, I don't know, a networking event or something. But if you don't know the rules, then you're kind of like stuck. And instead of being able to take the opportunity to make money in these times, you're the sucker that's getting the money sucked out of you. Just hopefully you don't have to sell. But like at a time like this, like being tied to Ottawa and being tied to this place, I can't sell right now. I take an $80,000 loss.
Right.
I can't sell. I can't leave this place. And that's the reality. I mean, there are other people that are forced to sell and take that loss. So not only do they lose their home, they also lost a whole bunch of money that they put into their home. And someone just buys it up right out of them, and they turn around when the market's better and sell for what it's worth, and they make all that money out of that person's misfortune. So that's it. That's what happens. And every time there's a change like this, and every time there's a law or a new law that comes out that changes things, there's a distribution, or rather a wealth transfer that happens, and more money rises to the top.
Yeah,
it's kind of sad, actually. And now that I'm aware of it, I'm kind of not passionate, but I really don't want to get fucked. I don't want all my hard work to be for nothing. So
yeah. It's like if the stock market is a game, one of the unique things that occurs in the game of the stock market is that players are playing other players. Like it's even in massive online games, it's somewhat rare. Only in the biggest ones with their own economies do we see players taking advantage of other players and manipulating large amounts of middle class players or whatever in order to accumulate wealth for themselves. And that's it's an interesting difference because in a lot of games there's some meta to learn about a game that for a certain amount of time, if you know that meta, it's guaranteed you'll profit a calculatable amount. But with the with the stock market, there's everyone is playing the stock market. No one, everyone who's alive is in the game of the stock market, even if they don't have any money invested or anything. If they're a consumer, if they're in the economy, they're influencing the prices in the stock market and their decisions. And then but it's the game is trying to predict how will people feel about a certain thing. And it's similar to if you post a meme on the internet, how do you know how many likes the meme is going to get, or if it's going to go viral? And it's just based on it's not even based on knowledge of how the human brain works or anything. There's no formula that someone can discover. And if they do discover the formula, then it apply is it a single case, or can they replicate the success? And there's a trick where if I just predict that every stock will explode and one of them does, then I can just in the future I'll just tell people oh, I said this one stock was going to explode, and I'll just leave out the fact that I also predicted these other 5 were going to explode that didn't. And then then I'll accumulate a series of successes where I can say oh, look, I predicted these companies were going to go big, and I just won't tell anyone that I also predicted all these other companies were going to go big that didn't. As long as I named the one that did, if people look at my record, they'll be oh, but at the time, I actually predicted 20 things and only one of them happened. And so if you had been there to take my advice, you would have had to invest in 20 different companies, and 19 of them wouldn't have made it. But I still get to take credit for the hit or whatever. And so that can actually skew sort of it can make it look like an institution or whatever has the ability to gain knowledge that that in the moment is not really practical. They're sort of just building this, they make it look in retrospect they got everything right, but actually there are a bit more misses than they take credit for or something. And I wish I knew more about the game theory, because I think that a massive an online multiplayer game, I think I don't know what the opposite because there's a zero-sum game. The stock market is a zero-sum game, I think, because one player's loss is another player's game. The total amount of money doesn't really change. It's if someone loses money, someone else gains, and so the total net is 0. It's just about stealing. And then there must be whatever a non-zero-sum game is, a regular game where everybody can learn the formula and do the formula and generate, you can always grind and always get your gear and always sell it or trade it. And, if you lose your gear, it might not be the case that someone else would gain that. Or if someone grinds and gains gear, it's not like they're taking it from someone else. They're actually getting it given to them by the game. It's like new gear that's being generated. And so there isn't like this, underlying incentive for everyone to like lie to each other and to try to like manipulate the system. There is one game like that, which is it's a game about like running snippets of code actually. And when you join, I think it's called like NetHack or something. And when you join the game, it's just like a bunch of players telling you to like run different code. And if you take their advice and you run it, the code might just like steal your money and give it to them. But the whole game, that's the whole purpose of the whole game, is like to try to influence other players to like give you their money basically in whatever way possible. And there's nothing else to do in the game. So the whole game is about like, no, like, you can't trust anyone. Basically, you have to try to figure out, you have to basically learn for yourself how to read the code and then read it all, or else you don't know if it's doing something like secret. But that's the analogy for like the stock market, I guess, is like everyone is a player of the game, and the whole game of the stock market is to take money from people and give it to other people. And so even when there's like, it looks like there's an institution that like they're trying to convince you that they know what's up and they want, a small amount of money to get you a bigger return. It's always like, well, they are playing the game as well. And like, they wouldn't be telling this to me if it didn't profit them in some way. But like, they're probably over exaggerating like how confident they are, or like, I want to win. So I buy into their pitch or something. And it's very like, it's so interesting to, like it's tempting to like classify the stock market as like a game that can be won and stuff. But even to win the stock market, we must take money from the losers. Like there's no way to make money in the stock market that isn't taking money from people that are beneath us in terms of like what they know, their knowledge or their ability. And that's interesting as well. Like, talking about winning is just basically like, can we predict the movement of, like if people need money and they're selling stocks, then we can just use our money to buy stocks. And, sort of like, it's interesting. Like, I almost wish I could say it in like more academic terms using game theory, but I don't know anything about game theory basically. But I wish I could find an article. I should look for an article or something about like describing how does game theory explain the stock market, and what are the differences between other games that we play and succeed at versus like the stock market. That like there is a shifting set of rules, very hard to pin down. Yeah.
Let me know.
Yeah, I'll take a look here.
A neat read.
A good YouTube video. I hope
just
you want
just
an
article. Old-fashioned article. Yeah, man.
A good article would be powerful if we find one.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing I learned too is money follows money and attention. So, yeah, if you're a big investor, millions of dollars, and people are following you and they see that you're investing somewhere, well,
right.
Say Warren Buffett puts $40 million into Coca-Cola, and everybody's going to start putting their money in too. Well, Warren Buffett's going to actually pull out. And when he pulls out, he's going to take all that money that followed him, and then there's going to be a mass panic, because when you have a lot of money, and in particular stock, especially, Coca-Cola is not a small cap company, but when you add your money, when you buy stocks, and then the value of that stock goes up because you bought, that's a lot. So you bought 40 million worth. You just made money because you just added value to that company. Like a lot of value. So right away, your stock has gone up. And then people are going to follow that. They're like, oh, there's a trend. There's an upward trend. And then they're going to put their money in, and eventually the wealthy, the whale, in crypto anyway, I don't know what they're called in the stock market, they'll just pull out. Oh, fuck. Right on. Good to go. And then there's a dip, and then people are just going to fucking mass panic. Oh, shit. And they're going to panic sell. Yeah. And some will try to, like, ride the wave. But if it's a one company, there might not be a wave to ride. It might just be a up and drop because of that investor. Or a series of investors that are all talking to each other, maybe insider trading. I don't know. And that's the risk. And so like Warren Buffett invests in something, I don't invest in it. People might think I'm dumb, but I'm aware money follows money. So I'm willing to look at the analytics. I'm willing to look at the company and see like what their performance is and what what's their vision. Do I want to actually support that, even if they don't do well? Am I behind what it is that they're doing? Like,
Yeah.
if Bill Gates is gonna start a company looking at fusion power, yeah, I'm behind fusion. Fuck yeah. So, and I know that Bill Gates has a business sense. Obviously, he's Microsoft. So, um, like I'm gonna do my own checks. I'm not just gonna follow. I'm not just gonna follow a bunch of investors blindly because I'm aware of that money. Money follows money. But on that note, I'm gonna go, buddy. Thanks for the chat.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, I'll see you.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.